Greetings, I'm Reverend John O'Toole, and it is Happy Halloween. Taking advantage of the energy of Halloween to do a reading. So let's wonder how much fun this is going to be. So, something I've been watching lately on Netflix, dare I say. Won't go into my opinion of Netflix tonight, but I've been watching the original series of Stargate. There was the movie, and then the series, and then there was the Stargate Atlantis. But it's rather interesting series to go back and watch because there's more history and less CGI. You know, obviously there's going to be special effects, but there's more acting and there's a lot of history. So it is rather interesting. The first episode is very important to pay a lot of attention to because it explains questions that you might have later in the series if you jump in somewhere later on. There was an episode today about a crystal skull, which I need to say I'm rather attracted to. And I was in Peru, and we were at the base of Machu Picchu. They had a crystal skull, and of course it wasn't an original crystal skull. I believe that there's 23 crystal skulls around the world. I don't think they've all been discovered yet. The original ones that have no markings on them, on how they were made, those ones that are supposed to be encoded with lots of information. But there was a crystal skull that was probably about this big, and it was actually relatively cheap when you did the conversion. But the problem was it was a 3-week journey, and we were into the midway through part of it. I would have had to carry it the rest of the journey, and it would have also maxed out my credit card, which was probably the bigger reason why I didn't get it. But it was an awful big tease. The largest crystal skull that I have is this one, which is on the table. It's about the size of a softball, I guess. And I don't know how well you can see the details of it. I've had a few of them, and some of them have disappeared. Either I've given them away, or somebody has taken them, or they've fallen behind a bookcase somewhere. But this is out of quartz. And the interesting thing about quartz is that it continues to grow. If you ever have a phantom crystal, the crystal that's inside the outer crystal continues to grow. And that's something that's interesting about quartz. Now, there is no reason why you couldn't do a meditation with even a man-made crystal skull and have some interesting journeys with it. Be sure to bring your guides with you for safety. Never travel in meditation without bringing your guides with you to keep you safe, because you have a tendency to get caught up in the woo-woo. So that I have that one on my table when I'm doing the readings. I also have this black onyx one, much smaller one. And not sure where my other ones are. I had a green one that was made from jade. And they're not a priority. Crystals aren't a priority with me anymore. I had a friend reach out who was getting into crystals, and she wanted me to ask me if I was selling any, but Most of the crystals that I have now in my possession are my special crystals, and I don't necessarily wish to share any of them. So it's been an interesting weekend. We've had a lot of rain, and we've had some sun, but it is cold. I'm wearing my Peruvian hat, which is interesting because we were just talking about Peru and Machu Picchu. You know, I was just thinking about it. They have these tassels on there. I think they're for tying it, but it's actually this hat is from this hat actually I think my daughter gave me. I have some that are made from alpaca, and this one I think is also from alpaca, but I think it's made in the U.S. or in another country in the South America. But you might see this hat, and people might be wearing it in other parts of the world. And it's just kind of interesting how just a hat, as simple as that, it might show up in a lot of different places around the world. And the alpaca wool, it actually will keep your head warm until it gets bitterly cold. Even if it gets wet, which is what's really nice about wool. So we're going to pull some cards, and we're going to see where we end up today, taking advantage of the energy of Halloween. So this is the 40th show of all the shows I've done since I've started doing the FaerySpeak, which has been about 4 years, I think. I've had a few stalls with my health that has set me down. If you're not feeling good, it's kind of hard to be an open channel. But I'm feeling pretty good these days. Enjoying the life. Even though the world out there is very crazy. So we're going to shuffle up. Well, look, 2 singer cards. Remember last time we didn't pull any? The time before that we didn't pull any either. That's pretty wild because usually there's at least one in the pull. I'm sure there's a reason for that. So we're doing Brian Fraud's Fairy Oracle. It's not sure how it's going to come up in the video, but that's how it is. It's coming up this other way. It's going to be looking like this. Trying out a little different in my light today, and this of course is the card, or any card you can use to draw out your fairy. You could actually send me probably through YouTube. You could send me a picture of your fairy if you wish to, or you could share it on your YouTube channel, which is probably more interesting. Many of you have YouTube channels with no video content. Oh look, another sinker card. Oh, that was awesome. So in your mind's eye, you could picture your fairy of whatever they look like, whether it's just an energy or a crystal, or it's actually a figurine of some sorts. And then you could draw it on your cards, or draw it on a piece of paper and put it on your refrigerator. And then when people ask what it is, you can just giggle. So let's see what we're doing today. Let's do 6 cards. And see where we come up with. It's like 5. Although it felt like we did 6. And they're all sticking together. Well, there's 6 cards. And let's try this one. The Fairy Godmother. And it's in reverse. Imagine that. Number 25. Number 25. The Fairy Godmother. Gifts. Oh. It's the Fairy Godmother. But this one was in reverse, as so. Fairy Godmother. Gifts, talents, grace, helpful lessons. But this card was in reverse. Our daily lives or things are harder than they need to be. Well, that's not surprising to hear. Let's try this one. The Maiden, number 14. This is the Maiden. Auspicious beginnings, birth, growth, joy, and hope. Seems a little opposite to what the other one was. Very interesting indeed. Let's try the first one. The Master Maker, number 22. Oh, anybody out there say this one looks like me? I'll deny it. Number 22. For those folks that are following behind at home. The Master Maker. Skill, craftsmanship, magician, moral strength, and invention. But this one is in reverse. Shoddy craftsmanship is a problem. So our first one was the fairy godmother, number 25. Our lives or things are harder than they need to be. And this one is shoddy workmanship. And then 14 was the maiden, birth, growth, joy, and hope. Kind of like when you're making a cake and the icing, it all gets all messed up. And it's kind of think of it, you had hope that it was going to come out perfect. And in the end, it has a certain flair. Number 59, bodacious product. An interesting card indeed. This card was in reverse. The bodacious product. Meddling, tampering, sabotage, and helpful fixing. But this card was in reverse. Reward that person in your life that does good when they usually get it right. Huh. Isn't that an odd thing, huh? It's very odd indeed. We were just talking about baking a birthday cake and having it come out a little sloppy. But you still want to reward them because they made a birthday cake and it's good. Carrot cake, just in case you're wondering. And I'm sure you're wondering, what kind of cake does he like? Another reverse card. Spirit Dancer. Number 36. Spirit Dancer. Kind of like what skips along the water. Although they're called sprees. But if you skip it on the surface of the water, it's a whole lot easier to skip. Although ice, I suppose on ice would be good too. Spirit Dancer. Number 36. Self-expression, freedom, and exploration. But in reverse, it's self-absorption and obsession. Well, when I think of this card, I think of things going on right now out in the world. You know, my body, my rights. That goes a long way. Of course, right now there's one specific topic, but it really does affect your entire lifespan of choices. Every time you come to a choice, you're at a crossroads and you have multiple choices, and whichever choice you make, you might have had other options. So it's very interesting. Ooh, look, a singer card. Actually, it's not a singer card, but it looks like a singer card. A fawn. Kind of looks like a deer, do you think? Looks like a singer card with the chakra system going down through the center. But it's not in the category of singer cards in the book, which just makes it kind of interesting, don't you think? Number 35, the fawn. What was the orientation of? It must have been in reverse. This one was in reverse also. The fawn. Understanding the nature of nature, natural wisdom and nature magic. But in reverse, take a breath, get a fresh breath air. So this is like I was talking about with at a crossroads. Right now, a lot of people are against the idea of my body, my right. But if you give that up in this one circumstance, this might mean you're going to give up the circumstances in a lot of other topics in your life. And then somewhere along the road, you're going to either wonder why things are the way they are in your life, or make a different choice, go in a different direction. Like you're hanging out with your kids' friends and you decide to do LSD or something of that sort. You think, oh, well, it's out of my system, it's no big deal. So you say you could handle that. So that's a choice. You're at a crossroads. You could have said, no, my body, my choice. Or you could have said, yes, my body, my choice. And then down the road, you say, well, it was no big deal. I had fun, and then I felt fine. And so you do it again, and now all of a sudden you're addicted to something that you can't stop. And then it takes a lot to stop. I'm going to do one more card, just for the fun of it. Solace. Vertical card. Number 13. I think we pulled this card for some time. Solace. Vertical card. knowledge, consciousness, synthesis, and spiritual empowerment. This card was in reverse. The singer is there to help seemingly lost causes and hopes. Spiritual empowerment. Now this is kind of where you're at a crossroads. Do you choose what's best for you, or do you choose what's best for everybody else and you sacrifice you? And if you continue to sacrifice yourself over and over and over again, it becomes a habit. And then what happens is that they have control over you. What would it take in your life for you to give up control over yourself? We're going to just do a quickie, just for the fun of it. Number 39. Lost Guana. Lost Gunna. Very pretty card. Lost Gunna. Sunken treasure. Discovery of self-adventure. So there you go. Am I sending you out on a task of my body, my choice, my soul, my choice, my consciousness, my choice? My world, my choice? My universe, my choice? Well, it is your choice. God gave us choice when we were in the Garden of Eden, if you believe such things. Until next time, the fairy is guiding you to make better choices for you and you and you and you. Ta-ta and happy Halloween.